I am a fan just like you. I did something today that I know all of you watching have done a time or two in your Diamondback fandom. I gave up on our snakes today.
You are Locked On Diamondbacks, your daily Arizona Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast, your team every day. Baseball is my religion, the Diamondbacks are my denomination, and you are my congregation. So settle down in your pew of choice and enjoy today's message. I have another weekly podcast that I do called The Sports Truth. It's live every Tuesday night with my co-host Cheese. We are the 643 and Out guys, and you can find us on both X and YouTube at the 643 and Out pod. By listening now, you are a certified member of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is completely free on all podcast platforms. You can also be part of the show by joining us on YouTube. Simply search Locked On Diamondbacks and leave your comments and your criticisms. A lot of you have been doing both, and I really, truly, I appreciate them all. This is like my third week doing this podcast, and everything that I can get from you guys is magnified by myself, and I look at everything, and I really appreciate what you guys are doing for me. I really do. So I have a passion for this game and for this team. And if you are listening, I'm sure that you have that same passion. So whether you're a first time or a long time, thank you for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen of the day. We will see the game as it happened to me today. And when it's all said and done, I hope that you will understand that I am a fan just like you. Along the way, we'll look at offense, we'll look at defense, we'll look at the bullpen, and lastly, we will find out why a play in today's game that, in my opinion, should have been an error was not called an error, and we'll find out if you like the rule as enforced by Major League Baseball. But today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off of your first purchase. Now, for segment number one, ladies and gentlemen, let's go back to the bottom of the eighth inning. 2 outs, a 2-2 count on Jake Burger, who coming into the at-bat was only 1 for 3 on the day. He hits a routine pop fly between first and home. No one gets a good break on the ball, except maybe the pitcher, and Locklear seems to have the best angle, but he overran the ball. Now, I must admit, and I must give Locklear some credit here, that with his body language, it showed me about a lot about what his baseball brand is. His baseball brand is kind of what I like to call it. What he is as a baseball player, right? What he puts forth as a baseball player. Some of you won't like some of this that I'm going to say, but I think it's very key. He showed no emotion. He didn't show any frustration. And at times, I'm not the best at that myself, right? If I mess something up or if I do something wrong, I'm going to show the emotion and I'm going to show the frustration. He didn't throw a fit. He didn't do anything. He just went back to first and he got ready for the next play. And to be honest with you, I like that. It's no different than when somebody gets a game-winning home run and then throws their bat 10 feet in the air and turns to the dugout and pounds their chest and all kinds of dumb stuff, right? Act like you've been there before. Act like you know what you're doing. Be a professional. And today I saw that in Locklear. Even though he overran the ball, made a mistake, he went back to his spot and was ready for the next play. And personally, I really like that. How about you guys? I'd love to know your opinion. Did you like that or not? Let's move ahead a little bit. The next pitch, a single. The next pitch, Josh Jung finds the gap, and an insurance run is added Now all of a sudden it's 4-2 Texas. Can I be honest with you guys? I was listening to this game on the radio on my way home from work. I picked up my wife from work. She is not a baseball fanatic like I am. And when she got in, knowing all of that and being frustrated with the way the late innings and the relief corps and the performance was going once again, I just simply turned the radio down. To which she replied to me, "Aren't the Diamondbacks playing?" And I said, "Yes." And she says, "Well, we've only got a few minutes till we get home. Go ahead and listen to the game, honey. It's not a big deal." And I replied to her, "I really don't feel like listening to the Diamondbacks blow another lead in the late innings." And that's really the way I feel right at the moment. I was frustrated with everything. Um, I was like, "No, baby, I'll talk to you." So I focused some time on her, and we spoke about some other stuff on the way home, and not that it was a terrible time by any stretch of the imagination. I've been with this lady for over 35 years. I love her to death. But the one time, that I didn't take her up on it, and they do what? I was given the chance to hear a great call, and I lost my fandom for a few moments. I did. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I like to watch baseball on television, but man, I love baseball on the radio. And I robbed myself of what I'm sure was a great Garagiola call. I have no idea how it went because I turned the radio off. I got frustrated. I didn't want to go through that again. And I know you guys have all been there. All of us have all been there. It's like I said in the open today. Forgive me, but I just want to be honest. I gave up on the snakes today. And then they turn around and do this. My takeaway from all of this, sometimes we're human. Sometimes we're husbands before we're fans. Sometimes we're wives before we're fans, or we're sons, or we're daughters, or we're coworkers, or we're just trying to show attention, a boyfriend girlfriend kind of situation. And I know as Diamondbacks fans, what's wrong with the Diamondbacks, and we have pointed this out on several occasions, and I hope that today's not that day again. And we'll find out as I kind of keep going through this story with you. So this is a personal story for me. I'm sharing it with you guys today. But first, before we do that, we're going to do a little bit for OpenPhone. All right, guys. So if you're running a business, then you know that every missed call is money that you are leaving on the table. Yeah, think about the last time that you had a problem, right? Let's just say, for example, that it was, I don't know, like a busted pipe, right? So if the first person that you called didn't answer, did you give them time? Did you just kind of hang out and wait for them to call you back? And the answer is absolutely not. No, you didn't. You just simply went to the next person that you knew could fix your busted pipe. And that's why having a reliable business line is so important. And that's why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the number one business phone system. It's number one business phone system that helps you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app, your phone, or your computer, whichever you choose. Here's one of the reasons why I like it so well too, right? So it's got these AI agents, and these AI agents, they handle after-hour calls, they answer common questions for you, and they capture leads so that I never have to miss a customer ever again. let me give you this offer, because OpenPhone is doing an offer just for Locked On Diamondbacks listeners, where you can get 20% off of your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnMLB. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge to you. OpenPhone. No missed calls, no missed customers. All right, guys. Like I said, this is a little different show today. I understand that. We're kind of going through what I went through today. Like, I'm a fan just like the rest of you guys are. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. We left it off with the fact that I lost my fandom and I got frustrated and I turned off the radio. But before we get into the rest of the story here, YouTube is a great tool for you to get everything you need about your Arizona Diamondbacks. But in order for you to do that, please do me a couple quick favors. Subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications, never miss a video so you are never not informed. I'm also very active on X, post, repost. We'll do some poll questions every once in a while, and so much more. So get me there on X at LO_Diamondbacks, just like it says at the bottom of the page. So let's kind of, keep going with this, right? So my wife and I got home, and we have the nightly debate, and I'm sure all of you guys do. They're married as well, right? You're all about to laugh at this one. But we have this nightly debate of what we're going to have for supper, right? It seems like it takes an hour for us to figure it out. And 9 times out of 10, it's written on the refrigerator because we plan everything out and we go to the grocery, we buy everything the way it's supposed to be bought and all those kinds of things, right? So we change clothes and she says, "You look depressed." And then she always does like the wife thing and, "Did I do something wrong?" And I'm like, no. It's the Diamondbacks, baby. I'm going to have to finish watching the game. And I'm going to have to try to figure out how to talk about something where I don't depress people even more. Because I almost guarantee you they lost this game. And she responds with, one of these things where, she always kind of knows what to say. She knows me so well. And hopefully you guys have got a great partner that does that for you too. And she responds and says, "Just tell the truth." And we kind of have this small discussion about how fans don't really want to hear the truth unless it's good. And then they're okay with it. So as we're talking, she goes into her office, and I got a bulldog in the house, so I start playing with the bulldog. We're doing tug of war and all this kind of stuff, and just doing a couple of things to take my mind off of what everything else is going on in my day for the time being. And she comes back out and she says, "You might want to go watch the game now." And I'm like, "Why?" She gives me nothing else. She just turns around and walks away. So I'm like, does she know something I don't know? So I go in, I turn the television on, sit down, fast forward it to about the 8th inning, right where I was just at. And I was telling you about everything, right? So then we go to the 9th. First 5 pitches of the 9th from Phil Maton were all strikes, if you remember. The first 3 got out McCarthy, and it was a quick 0-2 on Thomas. And that next pitch was just a terrible swing for strike 3. I mean, I don't want to talk about it a whole lot. Thomas was really, really improving now. It seems like he's regressing a little bit, but that was a terrible swing. I literally pause the game, and I go into my wife's office, and I say, "Darling, this isn't funny. You know how this game ends. And you gave me false hope here." And she responds and just gives me that look. And she says, "Yes, I know how the game ends." And turns herself around in the chair and goes back to her computer stuff. So I'm like, they are down to their final out. There is no way in the world they come back and win this game. But you know what? I'm loving what I'm doing on this podcast, so I'm going to go back in. I'm going to finish the game, going to take down my notes. Let's see how all this works out. So I wait on the 0-3 James McCann, right? He was 0-3 today. And I watch him blast a home run. Rangers 4, Diamondbacks 3. And then the announcer reminds me on television there that Blaze has hit a home run in both previous games in this series. And I start to kind of percolate a little bit, right? And as I'm doing that, it's followed by a really terrible swinging strike. So I'm like, oh, well, okay, that was short-lived, right? So the next pitch, then it hits Blaze. And Mike Maddox sees what I'm seeing as I'm watching the game, which is Maton is visibly frustrated. Now, I've watched Maton pitch for a variety of different teams. I am from the Cincinnati area, and Maton, if you look him up, he is from the same general area as well. So I like to follow guys who are around the same kind of area that I'm from. So I followed Maton, not like close, but closer than probably anyone else that's watching this right at the moment. So when I see his facial expressions and stuff like that, I've seen it before. So I really and honestly, I saw it right away. I'm like, oh, he looks upset. So then I got a little confused by this next part here, right? So the next pitch was a cutter that didn't even cut. It was followed by a second one and a third one, and then one inside almost on the ground, down below the knees, for a 4-pitch walk to Perdomo. And I'm saying to myself, right, was Maton trying to avoid Perdomo to face Marte? I don't understand this strategy, but that's kind of what it looked like. So first pitch strike, which made me wonder even more if that was actually the purpose of that mound visit, that they wanted to face Marte. They think that Maton has a better chance against Marte. Marte's first 3-hit game this season was today, since June 23rd. But it turned into a 4-hit game when he hit number 4, clearing the fence at 105.7 miles per hour and traveling 413 feet, giving the Diamondbacks the stunning 6-4 come from behind win, or lead at this point. So here's a great stat for you. Ketel Marte has hit 12 home runs in the 9th inning since 2004. And that's the most in Major League Baseball. My takeaway here, man, I couldn't believe it. I was so happy with the Diamondbacks, right? I almost said my Diamondbacks, but there are Diamondbacks, right? I was so happy. Man, I jumped up out of the chair and everything when he hit it. But yet, I was so disappointed in myself for giving up on him earlier in the day. Can they hang on and win? Now, we know what the problem's been with this bullpen, and we still got to get through the bottom of the 9th inning. So we'll get to that in just a couple moments after we talk about the Gametime app. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Gametime. There they are at the bottom of the screen, that mint green color that I love so well. We have all been there. Logging on early to get to your favorite spot, waiting forever for those concert tickets that you just want and you have to have, just to go to the site and go to the sale, and only to lose your spot online. It's frustrating. A show you've been dying to see, and look what happened to you. You just want to grab that laptop and just toss it across the room, man. I've been there. Live music should be about making memories and not dealing with a stressful or crazy ticketing site. And that's where Gametime comes in. Gametime makes concert tickets faster and easier, and the prices actually even drop as it gets closer and closer to showtime. And you can save up to 60% with their killer last-minute deals. With Gameday, the price you see is the price you pay. That's what I love. No hidden fees. No, I see the price up here, and then I click over to the next screen, and it's all here's the convenience fee, and here's this fee, and here's that fee, and before you know it, the tickets on price on the tickets that you're trying to pay is twice what you thought they were going to be in the first place. That's really annoying. So take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Gametime. download the Gametime app, create an account. And then when you download the app today on your last minute ticket deals, you'll get the lowest prices guaranteed. That's Gametime. And if you use the code LOCKEDONMLB, you'll get $20 off of your first purchase. So do it today. All right, guys, last segment of the show. I know I'm just as bummed as you guys are, but let's go into that third and final segment here right quick. Before we do, when you're done here, do you want a broader look at the game of baseball? If so, check out Locked On MLB Game Night. They watch every game, so you don't have to. And just don't watch it on YouTube. Put us on in the car, or while you're grilling outside, you're mowing the grass, or any other different stuff that you're doing outside, where you can put those headphones in and just drown out the rest of the world. Because we are on places like Spotify, Apple, iTunes, and my own personal favorite, XM Satellite Radio. Now, can the bullpen hold it down? We have been awfully quick to say how terrible this bullpen was and is. And honestly, rightfully so. But at the same token, when they perform well, we should be just as quick to praise them, and rightfully so. Let me give you a few things here. So the last 6 games, the bullpen is 4-2 with a 2.58 ERA, and in 24 1/3 innings pitched, they've given up 21 hits, 8 runs. Only 7 of those 8 were earned. 8 walks, again, collectively as a bullpen. 16 Ks, and a 1.19 WHIP. And by the way, that's from @Diamondbacks Stats Info. If you don't follow that over on Twitter, like you do us at @LO_Diamondbacks, then please go over to them @DBacks Stats Info and follow them too. Saul Frank did it. He was able to shut the door, and it wasn't even stressful for him. I didn't think the game was in peril at any point in that bottom of the 9th inning. So it was great to watch a game where you're not on pins and needles, biting your nails or something like that, waiting for something bad to happen, because it never did. And it never looked like it was going to either. So Arizona now leads MLB this season with 4 wins when trailing by 2 or more runs after the 8th inning, with the last one before today coming on June 4th versus San Diego. So big teams too, right? The Padres, and then the Rangers today, two playoff teams, or potential playoff teams, maybe when you're talking about the Rangers. The Diamondbacks have also won 4 series since the All-Star break, and they remain, we'll say, an outside threat. We'll see how the rest of this month goes, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. But they remain, we'll still call them an outside threat for the National League wildcard race. Now, I also want to look at the bullpen here in one other area, one other different spot here, because I want to know, are they equipped? Because there's no off day here, right? You remember that. So we go right from 3 in Texas to 4 in Colorado. And let me give you the part for the relievers here, right? So Woodford, he's pitched 55 pitches in the past 5 days. You've got Beeks, he's pitched 45, and both of those were just yesterday. So I'm not sure if they'll be available for the first one in Colorado, or if they are, it's probably going to be a limited sample size for them. Hoffman's only pitched 26 pitches, 22 for Curtis, which were just a couple days ago. So he did some more today. We're not counting today on this particular graph here. Juan Murillo, he did 15 pitches when he got the save yesterday. Kyle Buckus has only pitched 22 pitches in the last 5 days. Andrew Saalfrank, not counting today, has done 29, so he probably won't be available for tomorrow either. Jason Bergeras has done 28 pitches as well. So the bullpen is not like rested. And the last one, they just called up Casey Kelly, so he's only pitched 9 pitches in the last 5 games. So he should definitely be ready to go. So you got Casey, you've got Murillo, and you've got Hoffman, and you've got Backus. They all should be ready for anything that happens tomorrow. So I think we're pretty well set on our bullpen, even though we don't have a day off in between there. One more thing that I'd like to discuss here real quick, and I've already gotten a couple questions about it on X and stuff like that. So why was the overran pop-up not an error? Now, not all mishandled foul balls result in an error in Major League Baseball. And I'm reading this right from Major League Baseball's website here. So a fielder is only charged with an error if the misplay of a foul ball, if it's a foul ball that an average fielder should have caught. If the ball was not catchable with ordinary effort or was simply not a play that the average player would make, the error is not called. So the error can be called when it prolongs the at-bat. The error can be called if a fielder drops the ball that he should have caught, and then it extends the at-bat. And then the decision to whether you call it an error or not is actually made by the official scorer, who determines if the fielder failed to make a play that an average fielder would have made. So when an error is not called, there's some very distinct spots here on MLB and how they grade everything and how they look at it. When it's not a catchable ball, obviously, it's not going to be called an error. When a fielder won't be charged with an error if they failed to catch the ball that was simply not just a routine play. And if a batted ball lands in foul territory, it's automatically a dead ball, and the batter's at-bat is just simply prolonged by the error. So an error is also not recorded if the misplay doesn't allow the batter to get on base, only if it prolongs the bat or it allows the runner to advance. Like you've seen the overthrows at first base and stuff like that's what they mean when they're allowed to advance a base. So the key takeaway from all of this is the deciding factor from Major League Baseball, if it's an error on a foul ball or not, is whether the fielder failed to make a play that an average fielder would have been able to make, resulting in the batter remaining at bat. So the official scorer just simply determined that that ball wasn't an average play and that it would have been made by an average fielder. It's just a judgment call more than anything else, but they did not give our first baseman, Locklear, the error for that. So that wraps up today's show. Thanks as always for making us your first listen every day. Tell a friend, share this episode to Locked On Diamondbacks onto your social media accounts, and be sure to follow me on X at LO_Diamondbacks for more great content. What about tomorrow? Well, I'm glad you asked. We'll look at the August promotional schedule because even though they've only got 6 games left in the month of August at home, we got some pretty good promotional schedule stuff to look at. The remaining August schedule also, we'll do some predictions as to where we think the Diamondbacks will be by the end of the month. And I want to ask you guys a question. You can be thinking about this until tomorrow, right? Do you like playing the same team in back-to-back weeks like what we are the Rockies last week and this week? And last, tomorrow, we're going to preview Players Weekend across baseball. If you didn't know about that, that's this weekend, Players Weekend. And we'll look at some different things, not just about your Diamondbacks, but some of the other teams. Now, for your next listen, check out Locked On MLB, as Sully gives you a daily look at the biggest stories in the league. And of course, as always, tune in so you can stay locked on.